This morning, my name is Jackie, and we're going to be dealing with walk-in scheduler and audit reports. I have Cammie Marin here with me. We'll see what we can do with it this morning. I'm going to start with my PowerPoint, but I'm also going to jump over into a training database for us to work in today. So I'm going to unmute. Okay. I think we should be okay. Let me, if I cannot hear you and you're talking, can you just throw a quick question in the chat, and I'll see if we can get things moving. The first thing I wanted to let you know is at the very bottom of the first slide gives you a bit.ly to this PowerPoint. And I'm hoping we have it fixed now so that you don't need to ask for permission. It should be there for you to view it. Okay. All right, what we're going to talk about are about three different things today. I'm going to talk about the walk-in scheduler as a function, and then we're going to talk about manually scheduling a student, and then we're going to take a look at two audit reports, the school audit and the section audit. Okay, so automated walk-in scheduler. The first thing we need to do is make sure that it is turned on. So, and most of the time it is, but during the summertime and when you're in Power Scheduler, I know that Doris usually asks to have that turned off. So where would you find this? If you're in your database, you go to the school level, and under the scheduling category, choose preferences. And if you scroll all the way down toward the bottom, there's an engine loader, and there is a checkbox that you need to check, and then click submit. And that will allow the automated walk-in scheduler to be available to us. So that's okay to have that turned on after school starts or when you're all done with the scheduler. So this is kind of live side stuff, and it's awesome. Okay, so in order to use the automated walk-in scheduler, we do with it, sorry about that, that's not even English. We start with a student individually coming into your room. So he is coming in the second day of school, third day of school, sixth week of school, and you need to give him a schedule. So you're going to open up his student record, and you're going to scroll down to the bottom area and go to modify schedule. So obviously he's not going to have a schedule there yet. So you have two options when you get to that page. One is the Enrollments tab, and one is the Request tab. And the first part of what we're going to talk about today is found on the Request tab. So we're going to give him course requests. And the reason we're going to do this is because we don't really care what kind of class or what section he's in. We want to let the system decide for us. So we just want to let the system know that, yes, he needs English and math and science, or if you're in elementary school, yes, he needs to be in Mrs. Brown's homeroom. So once we do that initial part as a request, then we're going to let the system figure out what section he needs to be in and what best will fit into his schedule. So we're going to start on the Request tab, which is what this particular screen is showing us. And then you obviously need to add some course requests to this page. So you're going to click the word new, and underneath a new window will pop up, and you need to view your courses, unless you know the exact name, in which case you can type it in. So most of the time we click view courses, and we do that because here we're allowed to select more than one at a time. So on the left-hand picture shows you a list of courses, and if you select more than one, they will turn blue, and then you're going to click OK. If you click OK, it'll come back to your courses to request page, and now you should see the courses that you selected separated by a comma in that box. And you should also see them in the grid below that. So you're going to click Submit. So let's start again. We're going to go to Modify Schedule, go to the Request tab, click New, click View Courses to select the ones you want him in, not the section, just the course. Click OK. The bottom right-hand picture will come up, show you the course list that you've selected, and you're going to click Submit. The next thing that comes up is on the request page. It should look like that in the upper right-hand corner of this screenshot. The next thing you have to do is go to the Enrollments tab. So now that we have all of the schedules in the request area that we need, we're going to go to the Enrollment tab, and we are going to, oh, sorry about that. I need to do this. Okay, the very first thing that you're definitely going to need to do is change that enrollment effective date. A lot of people forget to do that, so I always recommend that you do that first before you get too far away. So make sure you change that enrollment date. This is the first day of classes, all right? Once you click the effective enrollment date, okay. The effective enrollment date is there. You're going to click Automated Schedule. And what it's going to do is it's going to look at all of these course requests below, and it's going to try and fit him into sections for that particular set of courses. It doesn't look at, I mean, it does look at close at max, so it looks at to see if any of the courses or sections are already filled. It looks like, it looks at the section links if there is any. It looks like at the teacher if there is a teacher-student problem. So it looks at all of the things that Power Scheduler looked at when it was trying to schedule or load students. So this does the same thing with an individual student. So once you click Automated Schedule, you have the display result on your screen. So sometimes it'll just say, okay, this is all my results, this is where I'm going to put them. Or you might see some warnings or errors in the top half of the status area, and either it is something is wrong with his alternate. If it's a course request that is an alternate, it may be a problem that there is no section available for the classes that you chose. But the bottom line is, the bottom paragraph will show you which sections that are going to be scheduled. So the ones that fit in his schedule show at the bottom, and you can either accept it as it is, or you can discard it and go back and take a look and see maybe you chose the wrong course when you went to the course request tab. So I would always look at the status first, and then at the bottom, look at what the proposed schedule is going to be, and then either accept it or discard it. Okay, it sounds like that was quick and easy. So it is quick and easy. What is a place for you to look to get more information, because you said it can't just be that easy. You can go to the NC-SIS page, and you do need to have the W, so this is an active link for you to go to it. This scheduling page has an automated walk-in scheduling QRD, and it's called PS_QRD_AWI. That is available on that page. So this was written with PowerSchool version 7, but the theory is the same, the process is the same, the screens are a little bit different, but everything that I talked about is there, and obviously this that QRD will be updated. Well, at least you have another place to go back other than this particular webinar to go to that bit.ly. All right, so is there any questions about how to use the automated scheduler? So basically, you're just using Power Scheduler on the live side. No questions. That is awesome. Okay, I'm gonna keep this going. We're doing pretty well. Alrighty, so I just want to focus on the elementary folks for a little bit. So it works really well, automated scheduling works really well for elementary folks as well. Only if you have the dependent sections set up and are utilizing them. So basically what a dependent section is you're going to take the class called Homeroom. So it's Mrs. Jones' Homeroom. And within her homeroom, she also is going to teach ELA and math and science and social studies. So those are all separate subjects, and the homeroom is a separate subject, a separate class. So in the homeroom class, you're going to add those sections to that homeroom. And what happens is when you give the student the class of Mrs. Jones' homeroom, it will automatically give that student all of those other subjects as well at the same time. So you only have to schedule one class for this elementary student into that homeroom, and all of the other subjects will fall into place. So that's kind of what this particular page is talking about. In order to find it, when you're looking at the section, so let's talk about Mrs. Jones' homeroom class, look at that section. You're going to open it up and there is a dependent section area. And I'm going to show it to you in just 1 second, but what I want to give you is more information and another place to look for a good resource, and it is K-Base Article 56027. It's how it works, dependent sections. So you can go to PowerSchool and look at it there. It shows you exactly what the screen looks like. It says dependent sections, and it actually is each course dot section with commas in between. So let's see what it looks like. So this is an example of what that particular field looks like if I am looking at kindergarten K101. So that is the course I'm looking at. That is the class section that I'm looking at. It's Mrs. Jones's homeroom. And under the dependent section field, I have linked all of the subjects that she's going to be teaching. So this is example. So this is just play stuff, but the 1050 and the 2000, 3000, all of those are different subjects, ELA, science, social studies, and other items that they will be teaching. And down below that is a first grade example. So it would be Mr. Peters' first grade homeroom 101. And he would have first grade classes attached to his homeroom. So this is what it looks like. So this is on the course page for the homeroom course. I'm looking at, at the section. You're going to the dependent section field, and you're going to put those courses. It's course dot section, separated by a comma, no spaces, and then that is going to be saved for that section. And then when you go to schedule a student into that homeroom or into that first grade homeroom or whatever homeroom it is, they will automatically also get all of those other sections. And that can be done through the automated scheduler as well. So in that case, you'd only have one course request. The course request would be for homeroom 101. And once you do that and click automated schedule, it'll schedule them into a homeroom and all of the sections that go with it. So I know that that's kind of strictly for elementary folks, but I think it's a really underutilized piece of PowerSchool that I'm hoping we can all use a little bit better. How we doing? Any questions? Any comments? Okay, I'm not hearing anything, not seeing anything.
Good thing.
Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's not a good thing. Okay. What I've also included as another link is a QRD for mass enrolling students into a class. Now, I put this in here even though it's not part of the walk-in scheduler. It is still a nice way, another preference to scheduling students into classes. It's basically for enrolling multiple students into classes. So I know that we're mostly dealing with an individual, but it's never bad to have more reference materials.
Tasha says everything's sounding great.
Oh, all right. Okay, perfect. At least Tasha lets me know that everybody's awake, so at least they're hearing me and all is good. Thanks for that. Okay, so now we went through the auto phase where we put in requests and let the system figure out what's going on. The other way is to manually schedule a kid. You know what classes he needs to be in, you know what teachers he's going to have, and you know when he needs to have what. So then you will manually schedule him or her. So in order to do that, we're still going to be in the same area. You're going to open up a student record. You're still going to go down to modify schedule. Only this time we're going to work on the enrollments tab directly. We're not even going to think about the request tab. So again, I always make sure I enter the correct enrollment date, because I'll tell you, everybody forgets to do that and they end up with the wrong dates on all of their class enrollments. So after you enter the enrollment date that you need, you're going to immediately click Find under Search Available Classes. This will actually take you to another page where you can filter down and pick and choose what period you want to schedule first, what's available during those times. So this Find button will actually take us to another page, will definitely give us more leeway into what we're scheduling. So this particular page, we could sit here and go through a scenario, 18 different scenarios, and look at it. What I want you to know is how to navigate this area. So if you know the kid's going to be in 7th grade, you can say, I only want to see the 7th grade courses. So you can use that drop down and click the 7. If you know that if you have an A day and B day schedule and you want to see what's available on just A days, you can click the day drop down and just choose A day. If you want to start with period 1, you could actually click the period drop down and just see, excuse me, what's available and open in period 1. You can also change the term if you want to just see what my semester 1 classes are, or maybe what my wheeled classes are, your quarter 1, quarter 2s, you can do that as well. So all of these filters are available for us. And it does show you the enroll date here, which is awesome. So currently, I went in and chose each of these sections, each of these classes for this child. I specifically said he's going to be in band on A day and B day, 4th period. And I know it was okay because my enrollment to the right did not tell me that it was overfilled, so I was okay. This is a manual thing. I can say whatever I want, and if I have the ability to overfill with the right permissions, I can do that. So I didn't say a course, I said a very specific section. So I'm going to jump into Power School itself and show you. I'm going to finish scheduling for Odie Oliver, which is a kind of a cool name. So I'm going to jump over to another application. I'm going to do this one. And cool, I'm hoping you guys can all see that. I am in, what school do I need to go to? Lakeshore Middle. So I'm going to go up to Lakeshore Middle. And this is really play data. There's no real stuff here, so don't worry about that. I think Oliver is 2762. So I'm trying to open up his record, okay? So it all depends on what screen you're looking at, where you've been before, what last screen you were at. I am going to go on the left-hand side and scroll down to modify schedule. So I'm here. If you look at your screenshot of the PowerPoint, it has the same exact thing that I'm looking at here on my enrollments page. This time I am going to look at, see what, my very first thing I told you guys not to forget, and I forgot. Put the date you want him to be scheduled. So he's going to start this class on May 1st. I know we're in August, but that's okay. I'm also going to check and see what is available in period 4. So I'm going to click find. That's awesome. Oh, guess what? I'm in the wrong term. See where I'm in 1718? So I'm going to change my term to 1617. This database has not been end of year, so we have nothing for, come on, why are you not going back? All right, it's not keeping my term. Let me go back to the home page. I'm going to change it again, go back to 1617, please stay. Okay. Yay. All right, let's go back to Mr. Oliver. He's thinking about it. Okay, so now I'm going to change my enroll date again. And I'm going to change my period to period 4. So now I'm only looking at classes that are available in 4th period. And I think I want to explicitly say what is available. Looks like he needs something in quarter 3. I see semester 1 and 2. I see quarters 2 and 3. Oh no, how did he still stay there? All right. Oh, that's what's available. Silly me. All right, so I'm going to go to N3, quarter 3, because I know he doesn't have a schedule, anything in there yet for quarter 3. So there's my term, quarter 3, period 4, and I want to filter it further. I want to say 7th grade. So now I filtered it down to only what's available to me, 4th period in quarter 3, A days and B days. So I am going to give him health and PE. So I think I'll give him health, and I probably should really pay more attention to what I'm doing, but I'm just going to make it happen. So he's going to go on a B day, just because I can. And then I'm also going to, what I did is I clicked on the course, the class, and now I'm going to make sure it is down here. So it looks like here on B days, he has ready to be scheduled gym, quarter 1, health, quarter 2, gym, quarter 3, So it looks like I need to do more scheduling in quarter 3 and 4. I need to do some 8A stuff. I need to do some fourth quarter stuff. So this is how this enrollment information works. So the biggest thing is to click the find and then filter whatever you need to filter. Now, when you're in manually scheduling and you went to find and you picked the course, it automatically put him there. There isn't anything else you need to do. It automatically puts them into that class, into that course dot section. So I'm going to go back and look at his, I used my breadcrumbs and I clicked modify schedule. And now I can look at currently what he has. And then here you could be able to say, okay, well, he does need something else in quarter 4, and he needs stuff on A days. I have him scheduled for B days, but not A day stuff. So how are we with that? That is actually a manual scheduling of a student. Okay, Cammie.
Good. I've talked and
They understood.
and they
Haven't said a word, so I guess we're all right. All right, I'm going to keep on going. Doesn't hurt. Do you want me to go back and do anything again before I jump into some audit reports?
Have you gone to the manually scheduled button there? Have you done that one?
The manual scheduled button. So that's kind of where
Similar to this, yeah.
it is similar. So Cammie was asking about the manual scheduled button, and it really looks more like the visual scheduler. It kind of gives you the ability to look at what is his current schedule. So it looks like he has science in 3rd period on A days and B days. So it kind of shows you where he is scheduled. It's, yeah, I don't like it as well.
It shows you the other section, so you can change the check marks. I would do that over the summer. Be careful during the year, because it does change their date, start date.
It does do that.
Well, you have to make sure that it's right at the top.
Yes. So yeah, that's why I always make sure that I always double check that enrollment date. So she has a very good point. If you go into the manual schedule button, you can choose and say, well, I want him to have visual arts on B days instead of A days. So I can uncheck it and check it.
If you hover over it, you can see who's teaching.
Yep, the hover button is really kind of nice. I'm glad they did that. So that is available to you. At least you can see, maybe you want him not to be on B days for health. He needs to be it on A days or whatever the case may be. So we can change that. You can actually change the different periods of the day if you need him to have a different teacher. So that is available to you. At the bottom, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it'll tell you what the color coding is. The green is the section is available. If you saw anything in red, it says that section is full, so you're not able to put him into it unless you have the permissions and that override password. And then the dark gray is this section is scheduled. So that homeroom section is scheduled. That's what that gray means. They all are actually. It's this square. This is where the kid actually has the class. He's currently in that particular section in that particular period.
Yeah, I think a lot of high school counselors use this.
Okay. Okay. So I'm good with that. As this, it's just really personal preference, how you want to see it, how you want to manually touch them. All right. I'm going to go over to audit reports if everybody's okay with that, since I'm not seeing any questions. Okay, so the 2 reports I'm going to focus on today are the school enrollment and the section enrollment. And obviously these are things that we need to do as we move along, as we start our school year out. So let me go back to my PowerPoint. Okay. So the two I'm looking at is found under reports. It's under system reports from your home page. And under the membership and enrollment panel is school enrollment and section enrollment. And perfect. All right. So the school enrollment, what does it do? Well, it kind of helps you with looking at students that have entry or exit date problems or potential problems. It'll give you the student's name, and it will say either the enrollment date is misaligned, maybe it has something that is not working out with some of their previous enrollments, and maybe if they have an FTE issue. So I know that we've been talking a lot about this in the spring and summer, is that possibly that the FTE has not been built up for prior years back to 2001, and sometimes that is causing issues on the school enrollment audit report. So all you have to do is click that school enrollment audit. I'm going to go back one screen. So as soon as you click school enrollment audit, this is the possible conflicts result page that you will get. So all of the student names that are on this have some kind of issue. And if you click on the student name that is a link, I thought I had another page. It will take you to his enrollment page. You can look at his current enrollment dates. You can look at his transfer info page to look at previous enrollment records. And it's possible that you don't have FTEs. It's possible that you didn't get all the information from the other school. The transfer student record process didn't work properly. But that's what the school enrollment audit report will show you. It's simple to run, and it should be run often to make sure we can keep up with our potential errors. Any questions about what the school enrollment audit does for you? Now, it doesn't tell you what the FTE problem is, if there is one. It'll just say, this kid's got a problem, let's go look at it. So let's try and look at Lakeshore Middle. Let me look at Ariel Aladdin. So I'm going to go back to Lakeshore Middle. I'm going to switch my screen. It's 1119 Ariel. Application, go into here. I am going to go under system reports. I'm going to scroll down to membership and enrollment, and I'm going to run school enrollment audit. And I have, seems like a lot. So I'm just going to click on Ariel Aladdin, my top student. And it takes me to the transfer information page. So I can look at Ariel and look at her current enrollment date is 8/29 to 6/10. That looks fine. I can look, you should look at all the way back to the beginning. So if I look down here, her very first enrollment record, 8/24 to 2009 to 8/1 of 2010, it looks like they were W7'd. So you need to look at all of these dates. So it looks like they exited on 8/1, but he was enrolled on 7/16. So it's kind of hard to exit on one date and have them enrolled earlier on another. So those are the areas that you need to concentrate on. So look at these dates, the entry, exit.
Blinking out.
Yep, something is blinking. Not quite sure what's going on.
All right, it's back.
Maybe it's just because I'm moving my mouse, not sure. So I would look at some of those pieces of information. That's basically what that school enrollment audit does for us. Any questions about that?
They have to correct information. That's what they need to see. That's where they can see if the FTE is in there or not.
Right, yeah. So Cammie is saying, so if I'm going to click on the, either my 8-1 record is the one that has to get edited, or my 716 line has to get edited. So one of the two has to be fixed. So if I go into my 8-1 record and I try and change this to 716, it's possible I'm going to click submit. Oh, I thought I did. All right, so take a look here. First of all, I went to hit submit before I was really finished, so that was kind of silly on my part. So all I wanted to do was change the exit date. But once I get in here and look at it, obviously one of the options, one of the fields that are required that I need to look at is my full-time equivalency, that FTE. So I was able to actually see one. So I'm able to pick full day. So that, it wasn't an FTE problem, it only was a date issue. So now that I've checked the full day, I want to make sure that the exit code is what he needed to be. What was they before? Let's see.
Probably W1, but
yeah, I'm going to try.
Back out and look if you want.
Yeah, I could, but
yeah, it's training database.
It's training, it's play. I'm just going to play. So I'm going to go back. So I'm going to go to, on the left-hand side, I'm going to go back to transfer info page. So home, it let me change it, so that's good. So if I look at the next one, it's 10/11, 8/24 to 6/12, 8/27 to 6/11 is good, 26 to 6/12. Okay, so it's possible that I have fixed everything I needed to fix.
Rerun the report.
I definitely have to rerun the report. I'm going to try and see if this is going to work.
Question.
Yeah, we do have some. So let me rerun it, and I'm going to let Cammie ask the first question.
Okay, so the first question is from Francine. Do we know when this webinar will be posted?
It usually takes a little bit for the recording to get vetted by higher ups. So I would probably say
Our goal is by Friday, maybe?
yeah, our goal is Friday, but you know that's all, that's as close as I can tell you. I'm going to rerun that report while we're sitting here.
Okay. All right, and then Mindy and Russell kind of have the same questions. So when we have errors that show for a school that is not ours, do we just leave it alone or notify the alternate school? And following up with Russell's question, are you saying that we just randomly choose an entry or exit date to change the records to? How do we know what the correct exit or entry date is?
Okay, so yes, there are lots of things that you have to consider. I always would try and have communication with that other school. I know you as a coordinator may not always have that information. So definitely start with maybe the data manager or talk to the data manager or coordinator of the other school to find out. Because one, we have to make sure that the attendance is correct. So you're not going to want to go changing exit dates until we know where that little kid's hind end was. So whether he was sitting in my school or their school, we need to make sure that that part is correct. Yes, I would definitely contact the other school. You're not going to pick and choose what dates that you want to happen. You can't really leave it alone because it really messes up your SAR and all kinds of other state reporting things. So they really do need to be fixed up.
Yeah, and if the other school fixes it on their side, then you can fix it on your side. But we were always told there's gonna come a time when you're gonna have to be the one, or your coordinator's gonna have to be the one to make that decision on what that date should be to correct your report.
Okay, right. So what she's saying is that, well, and also, just because they fix it on their end,
Right, it doesn't
it
travel over.
doesn't travel, so you still have to fix it on your end. So they make their change, and you say, okay, so now I'm going to make my change, so at least stuff kind of matches. So there is no back and forth for that other than just real-time human communication. Let's see. Definitely notify the other school. Are you saying we just randomly choose? Definitely not. How do we know what the correct exit date is? You talk with the other people to figure that out. Often when I try to change a date in the previous enrollment, I get there no FTE for this school. If it is not a school in our district, how do we correct it? So that's where the FTEs and the years and terms comes into play in all of your program schools. And to be honest with you, I cannot tell you the actual technical reason as to why that works. When you're looking in each of those lines and you find a line that has no FTE in it, you need to make sure to go back to that year in your schools and program schools and make sure you have an FTE and you have a full year and term set. If that still continues to be a problem, you can't look at the other school because you can't get to that other school.
No.
So as long as you have your FTEs in place, going all the way back to 2001, in all of your program schools, it just has an effect on that transfer student record process.
Still contact the other school and ask them to make sure theirs is set up.
Yeah.
And if it still doesn't fix the FTE, then it's time for a remedy.
Right, right. So if all your FTEs are in place and your years and terms are all correct, then it would definitely have to have a ticket. Currently, I changed the date. Okay. Currently, I changed the date to the day prior to the student start date with our LEA. There are districts contacted repeatedly to make correction, and they don't, or say they did, and the change does not come through after hitting the transfer student record button again.
Yeah, so we need to go back and re-ask Russell's question and Priscilla's, because I know as a data manager, I used to have to change dates, and my coordinator would verify what we had to change it to. If either the other district did not change their dates, but we do know it doesn't travel through. Once you transfer that record and then try to transfer it again, I don't think it updates after the other school update. You're going to have to, if they verify and send you something, screenshot or whatever, showing that without any student numbers in it, that is updated, then you can change yours. But I think we need to take that question back a little bit. So,
okay.
Because their enrollment audit does have to be cleared up. Maybe something we can ask Penny or Rosalind.
Okay.
And verify on changing those dates.
All right. We'll take that back. But I do know from previous conversations with Penny is that for some reason that particular item, that FTE, does clear up a lot of things. But what Priscilla is saying is that
she's changing the date.
She's changing the date.
Yep, and I used to.
Right.
Yeah.
But she's saying it doesn't come back after hitting the transfer student record button again. And it should.
If the other district makes the change, then she transfers the record again.
Yeah. That should work,
So we need to find out.
changing that date. So we'll have to come back for that one, Priscilla. So changing, the other school making those changes and you doing the transfer student record button again, I would say that it should work. If that does not, and you cannot make the change on your side, even after they've done the change on their side, then that's a remedy ticket.
She said that's correct, Cammie. Yeah.
The school is not in your district. How do you correct student information? So, Levon, are you asking about entry exit dates? Because this is the whole process that we're talking about. The school is not in my district. You need to contact the other school to find out whether they really were there until that particular date, or were they really in my school. So between the two districts, you have to figure out what dates are correct and what dates should be used. And then either let the other school make the change and then you try and transfer again, or you both make the same changes.
She said, yeah.
Okay, Lamont.
Can I answer your question, Levon? So if it's not in your district, you have to contact that other school
Definitely.
and make sure both sides put in the correct date.
She was changing personnel and other data, manager not knowing.
Oh.
Okay, so other personal data.
So it should be in the student's cumulative record. So then if somebody's got to make that executive decision.
Right, so you own the student now is what you're saying. So if you have, I mean, you've asked for records, right? That should, the cum folder should end up to you at some point.
Maybe be involved in contacting a couple schools.
It may be, or maybe,
Where they transfer from and where they
Right.
transfer to.
okay, so the personnel and other data is really not part of this school enrollment part, but what I would say is, the other data manager not knowing.
I don't know what the correct date should be, is what she's saying, I think.
Well, it says personnel and other data. So if they don't know, someone has to have that hard copy cum folder. And I would start with that. The charter schools in particular are notorious for not changing their dates, even after we have contacted them several times. How do we resolve the errors of the previous notable charter school won't cooperate?
I think that's just a training issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had it happen with other public schools too, so,
Yeah. That's a good
that's
one.
where we gotta take, because you were advising them not to change the dates unless the other school did. So
Right.
that's where I'm saying we had to change the dates to clear up our reports.
Right.
So we need to check on that with Roslyn and
We'll double check, but I know
make
that,
sure we're advising correctly.
right, because that really is kind of, that's a policy, training thing on everybody's part. We all need to be saying the same statement. So Julie will take that back and try and get an answer. It's possible that if you need to create a remedy ticket, maybe you could put it in the remedy ticket and we might be able to go that route, but we'll have to get back to you with a best practice about that. Well, I think they woke up. We finally got.
Got a lot of
up.
questions.
Yes, yes, we do.
Let's see. All right, I think that's all for now, though.
Yeah, Priscilla.
So we're just gonna have to get a definitive answer on changing those dates, because I know they have to be cleared up at least back so many years, at least back 4 or 5 years. I know some of that early imported data may not be right, and you won't ever have the FTE unless everybody has set theirs up and the script is working. So we just need to take it back, that question back about changing, when do you make that executive decision on changing the date?
Okay. All right, I'm so glad Cammie's here for that background information. That's awesome, thanks. Can I jump to the section audit? Are we okay with that? There. All right. So running the section enrollment audit is found on the same area, the start page, reports, system reports. Under membership and enrollment, it's the section enrollment audit. And, oh, let me get back to my PowerPoint so you can see that. All right, so section enrollment audit. When you run this, this actually talks to you about the student's school enrollment date versus all of the class enrollment dates. So remember, I really was honing in on make sure you have the correct enrollment date when you're putting them in classes, because it definitely comes into play here for one thing, and with their attendance and all kinds of other stuff. So those dates are super important. What this report does for you, it says, these are all of the students that have either course data enrollment dates that are different from their school enrollment dates. And then you have the ability to take a look at it student by student. So this particular screenshot, this first person, Mr. Bull, is in grade 4, is an entry date of 7/25, but in these particular 2 classes, he has an entry date of 7/24. So one of these is not like the other. We need to change either the school enrollment date or the class enrollment date. So you need to find out which is the correct one to use and fix one or the other.
They can't hear us.
They can't hear me. Okay. Can
get everybody to raise their hands.
All right. So if you can't hear, if you can't hear me, raise your hand.
You can hear me.
Yeah. If you. Okay. All right. So some people are hearing.
All right.
So Russell, I guess you didn't like me anymore, but I think I can be heard by other people.
Oh, just came back.
All right, I came back. All right, thanks everyone for that. At least we're all on the same page, I'm hoping. So the possible conflicts, it deals with the student's enrollment versus his class enrollment. So definitely make sure we look at both of those pieces. Again, it always comes back to what is the correct date to use, and then going into actually changing it. All right, so let me go back and run this. There was a question. I noticed when entering some courses for students, the class first day was on a Wednesday, but enrollment was on a Monday. PS automatically changed it to Wednesday.
Does she have ABC days?
Let me read that again. So entering courses for students, the class first day was a Wednesday, but enrollment was a Monday. Power School automatically changed it to Wednesday.
Mindy, do you have multiple days, cycle days? You have like A, B, C, D, E, or A, B, or?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's correct.
Okay, so that's kind of what, so Power School is smart enough to know whether it's an A day or a B day, because that class is either scheduled for either A day or B day, so it knows that if you schedule the kid to begin on a Wednesday, it knows that Monday was that A day or whatever that case may be, that particular scenario. So it does move that kid's first class to the very first day that that class meets. So if you have an A day, B day, then they should have an automatic change to that. So it should not show on my error report, correct?
So we'd have to look at that. We'd have to look at what's on your calendar, what's on how the class is set up.
Yeah, but it shouldn't show on.
Well, we'd actually need to look and see what her report is showing though, before we can answer intelligently on that. So she's seeing an entry date of one day and then a different day on the
on the class enrollment. And the class enrollment date is different because it doesn't start on that same day, because it is an A day or a B day schedule. So Mindy, I'd have to, one, test that out, but two, look at your report itself and see what it looks like. If you could shoot me your LEA number, so at least in school, and maybe we can figure that out together. The other, and I'm not doing this to be funny, but the other thing is to put in actual remedy ticket and just ask that question as well. But I will try and work that out particularly with you on this. The reason I'm talking about remedy is because we need to have everything needs to have a ticket related to it. So even if we do talk together via email or what it happens to be, it needs to have a remedy ticket to be associated with it. So definitely is why I have this on the screen there. Definitely put a ticket in. You can say that, you know, you talk to me and then they will assign it to me kind of thing, but it does need to have a ticket put in. So we can look at that, Mindy, but as far as everyone else is concerned, what she's saying is working as designed, because it does know enough to know what kind of a schedule that you have and when you're scheduling students into those types of classes.
Okay. Levon had a question from the previous screen.
Okay.
Looking at the student, she has 2 enrollments for the same school, same year outside of our district. Can we change or submit a remedy ticket? It kind of goes back to our question. We need to find out what you need to do. In the past, I would look inside both records, see which one has attendance on it, and then if they were absolute duplicates of each other, then one would need to be deleted. But before we advise that, we need to take all these questions back. But it's been 4 years now since I was a data manager, so we need to check on the process.
So 2 enrollments for the same school the same year.
Sometimes they have duplicate records in there. Yeah. And we had to clean them up. But I'll tell you, when I did that, we were working with our coordinator at the time. So
yeah,
you guys are probably the coordinators, so we do need to find out. And that, I think we can get back and get a notification out.
Right.
Hopefully in the weekly bulletin. But.
Yeah, if it doesn't, if whatever we post here through the webinar and it's recording, we can send something out through, is it the Gov Bulletin?
Yeah, the Gov Delivery.
Gov Delivery, okay.
Weekly bulletin.
If you don't know how to use the remedy portal, it's listed here. You log in with your NCID. So I'm hoping that the people on this call are the people that are designated the people to be able to put in a ticket. Definitely only certain types of people should be doing it. Either it's coordinator, or data manager, or a district designated staff. We've been finding is that not everything is clearly identified in the tickets as well. It kind of makes it a little bit harder for us to help with that. If you have any other questions, you can actually go to that site and look at it. The other two things that are on this screen that are great pieces that Tammy has done a wonderful job in. She created a video for the new portal. So there's...
That's Dan.
That's yours? Oh, I thought that was yours. Oh, never mind, that's not Tammy, that's Dan's. And then there is a PowerPoint for that training video. Okay, sorry, I thought that was yours. All right, so hopefully that will help you, and it'll help you help us to help you. That's kind of what all that's about.
All right, you guys have any other questions for today? I'm gonna put everybody's hands down.
Yep.
Okay, so we have that one question we need to follow up on. So
Right.
you guys got a couple minutes if you want to ask any more questions. All right.
All right. All right, so I'm going to stop this recording, and we will call it a day, and we'll get back to you.
You might be joining us this afternoon for our next webinar.
That's true. We do have one coming up this afternoon. So thank you, everyone, for attending, and we'll see you soon. Oh, yep, cool.